Welcome to the Wandering Ecologist podcast with me, Penny Green, celebrating positive nature conservation news, one story, one friendship, one wild place at a time. Today I'm joined by my lovely pal Alice Parfitt, who works for the excellent Buglife conservation charity. Hi Alice, how's it going?
Hi Penny.
Really lovely to be here with you today. We're already in the wild, which feels lovely. Can you tell me a bit about Buglife and your role there?
Sure. So I'm a conservation officer with Buglife, working here in the South Downs. And Buglife are a national charity. We're relatively small, but we're concerned with achieving sustainable populations of all invertebrates, preventing extinctions of invertebrates as well. So we work all through different fields, but particularly on sort of pollinating insects.
Fantastic. And so you're working a lot of the time in partnership and collaboration projects, aren't you? Which means that you can really punch above your weight because you've got more resources, more people on the ground doing things in collaboration with one another.
That's right. Many of our projects are partnerships. So we work with other conservation organisations, farmers, landowners, a whole range of people to try and achieve those sort of sustainable populations of invertebrates.
And that's fantastic. And you're working on the Changing Chalk project. What's that all about?
So Changing Chalk is a project here in the eastern South Downs. It's a big partnership, so there's 10 partners. It's led by the National Trust. Our main funders are the National Lottery Heritage Fund, so big up to them, but we have lots of other funders as well helping us out, and it's really sort of working with people to get people up into the South Downs that perhaps might not visit the South Downs. There's a lot of heritage work going on, but obviously what we're focusing on is very much sort of pollinating insects, species recovery work, and trying to get that lovely chalk grassland into favourable condition and getting everyone to appreciate it and love it.
Which we all do, because it's an amazing place. And with that partnership project that you're leading on, a very exciting species recovery programme for a very smart insect, which brings us to the South Downs in East Sussex here, Castle Hill, just behind Brighton. Why are we here?
So this is, it's an amazing chalk grassland site, but it's one of the places where you can find the fantastic Wart-biter Bush-cricket.
And there's a lot of questions here, Alice, and before we go any further, I know what everyone will be thinking. Why on earth is it called a Wart-biter?
So they are named after the 18th century Swedish practice of allowing these lovely crickets to nibble at warts. So people put them on where the affected part of their body, and they would nibble at warts. Apparently it was completely ineffective, but they would have a little nibble.
They felt like they were doing something to help their wart affliction.
I think so, yes.
I love the scientific name of the Wart-biter is Decticus verrucivorus, which is fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd let one of them near my verruca.
No, exactly. But apparently it was used.
That's amazing, isn't it? So can you describe what this impressive beast looks like and how can we recognise it from other crickets?
So it's a big cricket. It's about 3 centimetres long. It's a lovely sort of dark green coloration with sort of black blotches on it. So 3 to 4 centimetres long. The female's ovipositor is slightly upturned, and that can be another sort of up to 2 centimetres long. So for a cricket, it's big. Really, there's only one other species that we can confuse it with, and that's the great green bush cricket. But the Wart-biter has short wings, whereas the great green bush cricket has much longer wings. And
having short wings for the Wart-biter, that is one of the reasons why it's become so rare.
That's right. It's a big species, very small wings, which basically means it doesn't fly anymore. So it's a little bit stuck on the sites where it's found.
It can't really get very far, so it has to walk everywhere.
It has to walk everywhere.
Which can take a long time round.
Absolutely.
So it's a big beast, isn't it? And so, can we talk a bit about its life cycle? Because that's going to be a really interesting thing, because it's got such a complex load of requirements, hasn't it?
It is. It does require really good chalk grassland with a habitat sort of structure to it. So the females lay their eggs in bare soil. Those eggs then overwinter for 2 years before the nymphs hatch out in about April time. When those nymphs hatch out, they go through 7 stages of growth, so those nymphal stages, and they need quite short turf at that time for feeding on. And then the males need sort of these lovely sort of bigger tussocks of grass to sing from and to sort of hide from predators as well. So they really require this mosaic of sort of fine scale mosaic of different habitat types.
And we can see that where we're sitting now in sort of a prime Wart-biter habitat. So we've got lovely sort of tussocky areas, we've got lots of bare ground, and then the shorter turf as well. So we've got that, loads of that nice transition habitat as well, sort of in and out of those different areas. And it's full of wildflowers at this time of year, Alice, isn't it? It's beautiful.
It's really floristic, so that's very important as well. So the Wart-biter is an omnivore, so it will be feeding on these plants. It will also feed on smaller grasshoppers and crickets. So having a very sort of high quality chalk grassland is what the Wart-biter needs, and really we say that this species it's really a flagship for the type of really good quality chalk grassland that we can find here on the South Downs.
It's a beautiful place, and you can just tell by being here that it is alive, isn't it? You can hear those different insect sounds around us and lots of bird sounds as well a bit further afield. It's very lovely. This is a particularly rare species. It's endangered. It's probably one of the most endangered species in the country, isn't it?
It is, yeah. That's right.
And so where can it be found at the moment?
So, it's endangered. It's listed on all sorts of lists as being sort of vulnerable, endangered. It's just known from 6 sites in the UK. So 4 of those are here in East Sussex. We've got 1 site in Kent and 1 site in Wiltshire. It is found on mainland Europe, where it's a bit more common. It's not right down into the really sort of hot southern bits of Europe. So it's really on the edge of the northern edge of its range here, which probably makes it very sort of fussy about it's habitat requirements, and that quite often happens when you get species on the edge of their range. It's literally found at 6 sites now. So that's why we're working with the species and why we want to do all we can to help it.
And so, obviously we're sort of, going to talk a bit more about habitats and the sites that it's on as we go through this podcast. But do you think sort of climate change could actually facilitate this species doing better as, it heats up as we go northwards? So could it expand its range northwards?
Well, that is the big question of the moment, really. So it's a species that likes really hot slopes. So at the moment we find it on south or southeast facing slopes of the chalk grassland, and it probably will become less fussy as we warm up a bit more. It'd be really interesting to see if it moves round into maybe some of those more westerly or even northerly facing slopes. We don't really know at the moment what it's going to do. On the flip side, as climate warms, probably a lot of its habitat in Europe will become less suitable. But yeah, at the moment we are definitely thinking about how this species might adapt to climate change. Will it get less fussy in its habitat requirements? Will it be able to move on to less pristine chalk grassland slopes? And at the moment we don't really know the answers to those questions, but it's definitely something we're thinking about.
And this morning on the way here we were talking about the fact that because it's been a particularly dry spring this year, that it meant that a lot of the tussocky bits on this chalk grassland haven't really done so well. They're kind of quite dry, aren't they, because of that drought? So climate change could potentially have a negative effect for them as well by the way that it's affecting their habitat where they are at the moment.
That's absolutely right. The south-facing slopes might get too warm for them, and really they do need this structure to develop in the spring to really enable them to have all of those bits of that mosaic of habitat that they need. So we're looking here, and they're. And actually, I was very worried in the spring before I came out here that maybe the structure hadn't sort of developed enough in the spring, but actually it's not too bad. It's there are bits of the slope that where we haven't got much of that structure, but certainly sort of a bit further down the slope we have. And obviously the warm weather in the spring will have been really good for the development of the nymphs. So we think they're probably doing quite well this year. We're sort of just getting into survey season to so we'll be able to find out at the end of the summer sort of how well they have done this year.
So what measures as an organisation and as a project have you been taking to help the Wart-biter?
So we are doing lots of monitoring on the sites where they're found. So we're working with a specialist contractor who is monitoring all of those sites to see how they're doing. We've also been working with sort of the landowners where the Wart-biter is found. So we've been helping, for example, one farmer get some money through his capital through a capital grant scheme, through his stewardship, so he can do a bit of scrub removal, and we've also been working with volunteers to try and train them up to help us look for Wart-biters sort of around some of these sites. Are they anywhere else in the landscape around the nature reserves?
So that will help with like the longevity of the project once the project is actually finished.
Absolutely, yeah.
Enabling people. So you're sort of talking to landowners about the best kind of management to help them know into the future how to manage it themselves. And also getting the volunteers on site to know how to monitor them.
That's exactly right, and really the management that we need to sort of maintain this sort of habitat is really sort of autumn winter cattle grazing. They're really good at creating this sort of tussocky habitat that we need, and then take them off before spring, so you get this nice sort of flush of growth in the spring, allows all those tussocks to develop. And really the sorts of things that we're worried about on chalk grassland sites for Wart-biters is A, that it might not get grazed enough, so the whole site becomes a bit too rank, all of the vegetation is a bit too long, and you lose all of those sort of short turfs and those little bare patches, or it gets overgrazed or undergrazed. Either of those are not very good for it, but also the development of scrub can be detrimental. So a little bit of scrub is great for Wart-biters, great for a whole range of invertebrates. So we never want to get rid of all of the scrub on a chalk grassland site, but it can take over, and then we lose the lovely chalk grassland, we lose the plants, we lose all of those invertebrates, we could lose the Wart-biters. So getting that balance right is really important.
That's a tricky old balance, isn't it, to get something that's not a uniform kind of structure, and having that sort of diversity of structure is really important, not just for the Wart-biter but for so many other species as well. So this habitat work that you've been doing here and on the other sites, has it benefited other species in this quite rare? Chalk grassland is a fairly rare habitat, isn't it? So what other species are benefiting from this work?
So, I mean, really, wart-biters are a flagship species of high quality chalk grassland. So if you get your habitat right for wart-biters, you're going to really be helping some of our other invertebrates. So things like butterflies, on one of the wart-biter sites, I've been seeing second brood dingy skippers this year. It's great for bees. You can see all of these flowers. We've got loads of small scabious in flower around us, greater knapweed. All of these species are fantastic for bees. So where we are today, it's got this amazing array of rare chalk grassland bees. So things like our large scabious mining bee is here, small scabious mining bee, downland furrow bee. All of these are fairly rare bees, and there's good populations here. So it benefits a whole range of species. We've seen wall-brown butterflies here this morning as well.
So lovely. It feels like it's just warming up. So this is pretty much a perfect day for us to be out surveying for them. They're really hard to spot in the field, the wart-biters, aren't they? So how on earth are we going to find them?
So, yes, they are difficult. Considering they're big, they are difficult to see. So what we do is we are listening for their song, or their stridulation, as it's called in grasshoppers and crickets. So that's the males are singing. They will sing from these sort of tussocky bits around us. The males will come up to sort of the top of the tussock. If we're really lucky, one might climb up quite a way and might be sort of sitting on top of the tussock.
That's the dream.
That is the dream. Whether or not it will happen, we will wait and see. But so we listen to their song. So a bit like birds, all grasshoppers and crickets have individual songs. So we know what the wart-biter song sounds like. So that's what we're going to listen out for.
And how are they producing this song? So obviously they're not whistling or humming it.
No. So they're going to be rubbing their wings together to produce this song, as all crickets do. And as I said, all of the songs sound a bit different, and the wart-biter song has been likened to a bicycle going down a hill, getting a bit faster. So it sort of starts off with a few clicks, and then that sort of gets faster and faster. So that's what we're going to be listening out for. The sun is just coming out, so I reckon this could be perfect timing to actually hear one very soon, because they like it warm. They don't start singing until the sun comes out. They don't bother getting out of bed till the sun comes out.
Well, I'm very excited to be looking for them today, because I've never seen one, so I'm really hoping that we find one. Should we go and have a look?
Let's go and have a look.
So this is really exciting. We can hear one, Alice. The blue sky's come because it needs to be nice and warm, and the sun needs to be out, and the wind needs to be sort of. Well, obviously we can hear it gusting now, but it doesn't like the wind so much, does it?
No, but it really is the sun coming out that will start them to sing. And actually, I can hear one behind us now as well. So literally, we've got a bit of blue sky. The sun's come out, and the wart-biters have started singing.
It's a lovely sound, isn't it? I do think it sounds a little bit like castanets, like tiny little castanets.
Yeah, so they're in their sort of like fast bit. They've done those slow clicks, so they're doing that sort of fast sort of clicking now.
I'm going to see if I can get a little bit closer, just very gradually. Because they do have a tendency, Alice just said, to throw their voice a bit. Well, it's not their voice. Through their wings. Can you spot it anywhere, Alice?
I can't see it yet, but I suspect it's not sort of, as the sun's only just come up, they've not sort of come up to the top of the tussock at all. They'll still be fairly well hidden, but we'll keep an eye out for them. Okay, I've spotted one. So down in that clump, just down from us, almost sort of in the middle of that clump.
Okay, just to the left of the thistle.
To the left of the thistle.
Oh my God, it's huge!
So it's come up, so that's the male, and you can actually see the vibration of its wings as well.
This is so exciting. I've never seen one before, and I knew they were big, but for some reason, obviously they're about, 3.5 centimetres or so, aren't they?
Yes, between 3 and 4 centimetres.
That is a big beast. It almost looks like a plastic toy insect. That's so good. So it's sitting at the top of a little sort of tussocky clump at the moment, isn't it? It's like a line of tall grass.
Yeah.
And
so this is what the males need to sing from. So they'll climb up, they'll start singing, and it's just amazing. We've got this little bit of sunshine, and suddenly we can hear a couple starting to sing around us. So that's the male sort of trying to attract a female, defending his territory. We can try and get a little bit closer, but they do have a habit of dropping down into that tussock, and that's really their protection from predators, essentially. Yeah. But we can try and get a little bit closer.
Oh yeah, I'd love to. Let's see if we can stalk it. It's an amazing colour green, isn't it? It's almost like
a lovely sort of dark green, and if we get closer you should be able to see some of those sort of black blotches on the side of its
I can see it's stridulating.
So you can see it's moving its wings.
Oh my goodness.
Actually, that one's not really got much black blotches on it at all, but actually you can see the length of the wings there.
Yeah,
they're not very long. They really just come to sort of the end of its abdomen, or just over. And I mentioned earlier the sort of the great green bush cricket. That's got much longer wings, so they come well over the end of its abdomen. So that's a really sort of useful clue as to which species it might be. And really there's only those two species that are this size.
That is the coolest thing. And it's got like a little beady black eye watching. It's like it's watching us.
That's right. And you can see it's got long antennae. So that's how we know it's a bush cricket rather than a grasshopper. And it's got this very cool, distinctive sound.
Hopefully everyone's picking up on that. So we should see if we can creep a little bit closer. I don't want to disturb it, but let's stalk like we've never stalked before. Oh, has it clocked us?
It's just stopped. It's still there. It hasn't dropped down.
Oh, is there one even closer to us?
There's another one behind us.
But I see what you mean. They're very good at throwing their voices, aren't they? Oh, he's going again. He's trusting us. So you can hear it getting started. Like you said, it's almost like a bike wheel that's just getting a bit of momentum behind it. So it's speeding up, going down a hill.
And when they first start, it's literally you just hear these little clicks.
Which you're so well tuned in on, because you heard a couple earlier when we were waiting.
Before they even really get going like this.
It's lovely. We've got the backdrop of Yellowhammers, Corn Buntings. Got white throats whizzing around, Linnets. Oh, he's just heading back down his bit of grass. Is that because the wind's got up?
Probably, because we've not got any closer, so I don't think we've sort of disturbed it at all. But actually, he's obviously just still singing.
Yeah, I can see
singing in there.
I can see him vibrating still.
Yeah, he's just gone down a little bit.
just spotted one more. It's right at the back of this tussock. Is that rest harrow?
Yes.
That's just
the
behind
pink flower, yeah.
the little pink flower. It's just behind there. If you come here, you might be able to see it better. The left-hand flower.
Got it.
Oh,
Well spotted, Penny.
woohoo! Oh, it spotted us. I might make a good Wart-biter surveyor after all.
I think you've been an excellent surveyor, Penny. You can come out
Can I come on your
anytime
gang?
and help us.
Yes.
You can hear that they've sort of started up quite well now. The sun's come
Yeah.
out. You can sort of hear them around us. There's one behind us as well.
So how on earth do you survey for them? Because this is tricky to get a hold on how many we can hear from this spot.
So we walk transects essentially. So we're going to walk across the slope, and we will just pick out how many we can hear along those sort of transects. And actually, as you're walking along, that's fine, because you don't need to know exactly where they are, but you can sort of hear there's, you know, two down there, one in front of you, one to your left, sort of thing. So we're picking them up and recording them in that way.
So you're walking a sort of linear route and you're keeping a tally as you go along, and you're doing that year on year in a consistent way, so you've got comparable data.
That's right. And actually, although we're walking transects, that they're actually, these slopes are divided into blocks, so we're actually walking a sort of zigzagging this route all the way up the slope, so that we can sort of see where on the slope they are. Are they favouring sort of this bottom edge, where there's a bit more structure? There won't be quite so many sort of in that middle bit, but we'll try and cover all of the slopes in a consistent way. So yeah, we've got data that we can compare year on year.
And because they're such a rare species, do you have to have a special permit or licence to be able to undertake the work that you're doing?
So if you were just walking through somewhere like this is an open access site, and you happen to see or hear a Wart-biter, then no, you wouldn't need a licence to do that. But we do need to have a licence if we're going to photograph them or disturb them in any way. So yes, I have a licence, and that covers me and my volunteers to do all of this sort of work. It will cover us for being here today as well.
Fantastic. Well, that one's gone down into hiding. And we talked about habitat earlier on. It'd be quite cool just to talk about sort of why their habitat has become so rare and fragmented. What problems are these species facing? This species facing?
So it's true of a lot of our species that rely on chalk grassland. Chalk grassland used to be a lot more extensive than it is now. And a lot of that got converted sort of, 50, 60 years ago to arable farmland. We obviously got more pressures on housing, all of those sorts of things. So the sites that we've got left are actually quite fragmented, and not all are managed really appropriately. I mean, I'm not just talking about Wart-biter sites, but these are issues around getting the right grazing on all of our chalk grassland. Some are absolutely fantastic, some need a little bit of help, but basically these really good sites are fragmented, so they're isolated from one another. And for species like the Wart-biter, that's obviously a problem, because they don't fly. They're basically stuck on the sites where they are, and they can't get to new good bits of chalk grassland.
And that sort of leads us very nicely on to my next question is, what comes next with this project?
So we are hoping to undertake a translocation to a new site this summer. We know from experience that translocations work really well. Buglife were involved with one in East Sussex about 10 years ago now, which has been very successful. So we've established a really good population on a new site where they're doing very, very well. So yeah, we want to actually look at sites where we can we can have new populations, and really the aim is to at some point have 10 populations of Wart-biters. That's what we're sort of aiming towards. So yes, this summer we found a new site where we're hoping to translocate them to later on in the summer, and really that involves catching adults and literally just moving them from one site to another. So we do this sort of mid to late August, once they've had chance to lay some of their eggs on the site that we're taking them from. We do quite extensive surveys on the site that is sort of the donor site, to make sure that population's really robust in the year that we're taking them. And we collect females mostly, but we'll take some males as well, and we will catch them, put them in little pots with some vegetation, and then move them over to the new site. And we'll do that for 4 years. So I don't think I mentioned earlier that the Wart-biters actually have a 2-year life cycle. So when the eggs are laid, they actually overwinter twice in the soil before they hatch. So that means we want to have 4 years of moving adults, so we know that there's enough for each of those sort of periods to make a healthy population.
It really bolsters it.
It really bolsters the population, and it also sort of helps if there's any of those chance events in the year that you move them, that something happens. We're bolstering that population, and this is the methodology that's been used for quite a few sites, so we know it works. It works well. So that's our plans for later in the summer.
Gosh, that's so exciting. And so will there be a small team of you that comes to collect?
Yeah, absolutely. So the volunteers that have been helping me out over the last few years, learning all about Wart-biters, helping me out survey, they're going to come along and help. As we've seen today, they're not the easiest things to see and find. So actually having a few people come and help us is going to be really important. And we've got a specialist contractor that's helping us out, who's done this sort of thing before, whereas I haven't. So he's going to be sort of overseeing the whole project. But yeah, quite exciting for later on in the summer.
Yeah, well, that's so great, and to hear that sort of like active sort of conservation, you're getting stuck in and doing something, and you know that this has worked before on another site, so that's really exciting. So how can people find out more about the Wart-biter?
So if you go to the Buglife website, we've got lots of information on Wart-biters there. If you look up the Changing Chalk project pages, there's lots of information there on how you can get involved, and some of the work that we're doing as part of Changing Chalk, not just on the Wart-biter Bush-cricket. So yeah, visit Buglife's website. Yeah. Or follow us on social media.
Of course, we'll all be doing that. So I think because the sun's come out and it's such a fantastic day, should we do one of the surveys today? I'd like to make myself useful while I'm here.
I think that's a great idea. It is a really nice day now. Now the sun's finally come out. It's actually perfect for them, and the Wart-biters tend to sing for a couple of hours. If we came back in the afternoon, they'd probably be quiet. So I think we should make the most of the lovely day we've now got.
Fantastic. And how many might we hear here today, do you think, on a perfect day?
In any one day, if we were doing one of the slopes, if you got up to 100, you'd be doing really, really well.
Nice.
I doubt that we would hear that many today, but you never know.
You never know. I feel very hopeful because it's such a nice day, and I'm very excited to be here. And now I know what to listen for.
Exactly.
High alert. Anyway, thank you so much, Alice, for sharing your passion and expertise for Wart-biters. It does really feel like that Britain's most endangered species is in very safe hands. So I wish you lots of luck with the translocation later on this year, and I can't wait to check in with you again soon to hear how they're doing.
Thanks, Penny.
Let's go and find some more.
Let's do that.
really hope you enjoyed this episode. I loved being out on such a beautiful sunny day on the Sussex Downs looking for this rare and amazing species. Thank you, Alice, for sharing your fantastic knowledge of this species and for helping me to see my first ever adult wart-biter. I wish you all the best for your ongoing conservation efforts for this awesome insect. Many thanks go to Matt Davison for the fab music, Katie Bolton for the excellent artwork, and Ian Bunn for his amazing editing skills. Tune in again soon when I'll be having more wildlife adventures with friends, but in the meantime make sure you get outside with a friend to share some wildlife adventures too. Thanks to Leica for sponsoring the Wandering Ecologist podcast. I've been a Leica user since the very beginning. Whether I'm monitoring stone curlews or barn owls or conducting a dragonfly survey, I rely on their precision. With over 120 years of crafting premium optics, Leica brings exceptional clarity even in low light. The close focusing range reveals fine details others miss, and the rugged waterproof design means they keep going, whatever the weather. German engineering trusted in the field, and craftsmanship I can count on.